Hi everyone, how are you doing?
We're doing good.
Yep, we are enjoying the day. We are actually off Sunset Boulevard.
Yes.
So you're going to hear some cars going by, and because Sunset's a fun street boulevard
Right.
with winding
Winding
roads.
roads, so
Yeah.
a lot of cars be going by. I don't know why they're going that fast, but they are.
Yeah, so yes, I have taken it on my motorcycle. You are going to hear some motorcycles going by. You're going to hear a lot of expensive Italian sports cars
Yes.
going by, and they're going to be loud, but hey, whatever, don't worry about it.
We'll talk through it.
Yeah, we're going to talk through it. Where are we today?
We're right in front of an entrance to UCLA.
Yeah, right on the campus of UCLA.
UCLA,
You can
yes.
see
There's a name right
letters,
behind us.
of
If you
course,
can
they're
look, I can
reversed.
move my head a little bit, but it's behind us.
Yeah, we're on the campus, the backside of UCLA, off Sunset Boulevard. So up versus Wilshire. But anyway, it's an apropos setting for us today to talk about the kingdom principles of the diaspora here on Awaken with Mark and Marlene. The deal is because we're going to talk a little bit about curriculum and education, as a matter of fact. And that's why this is an apropos setting.
Yes.
So what the deal is, what the bottom line is, a lot of times I've faced this. I don't know if you have felt this, and I've talked to some folks, and we're interested in learning the mechanics of something, and we want to then pick up the skills to then be productive, make money, be a success, whatever. And I don't mean those in a bad way at all. Yet it just doesn't seem to work. And there's a person I really have respected, and Dr. Monroe, and he's referred to some of this and given a little background about that. And we're going to talk about that today, because I'm finally beginning to have my eyes open to see, why doesn't the mechanics that are in the curriculum, whether it's elementary, middle, high school,
or college,
university, why doesn't it work for the diaspora? And instead of hiding it like some mystery to the end, basically it's because the curriculum of the oppressor is made for the children of those with power and privilege.
Yes.
And the individuals within the diaspora are not coming to the table in a state of neutral. We're coming actually in behind.
Right, with lack.
With lack, thank you.
Self-worth and self-esteem and things like that.
Yeah, self-value.
Right.
We don't have these things. And before any of you jump down our throats, these are actually some good things to have. But when you have had 400 years plus of not being able to look someone in the eye,
right,
not be able to hold your head up, not being able to be approved in certain sections of a city or town, these things mount on you over time, and it can kind of wear you down,
right,
as a matter of fact. So by the time we get to a place where the mechanics of how to make it are being presented, we are really not in the best position to be able to receive those things, is what it amounts to. If it helps, I want to share a story. So Marlene and I, we went back home in the Midwest to Springfield, Illinois, where I'm originally from, and we went there because we needed to take care of help my mother, who's in her high 90s, to take care of some business, some law business, legal business.
Right.
And so my sister called me, and we went there, and we met up, and we were all going to an attorney's office. And what's interesting is this attorney is about the same age as myself.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, my mother had actually been a housekeeper, a domestic, for this individual's father. And in fact, this individual, their father, I believe, was a judge. as a matter of fact. I probably met them, but I don't remember. I was a little kid at the time. So anyway, so here we are just a few years ago going to try to take care of some legal matters. And it's not about the legal matters at all. The story is about, actually, if you recall, we're in the room, we've got my sister there, we've got our nieces and their children there. I mean, the whole clan, we're all in there. And we walk in the office, and here's the way I kind of recall. And so here's some person who's the same age as I am, referring to someone in their 90s by their first name. Now that might have gone over some of y'all's head, but in our culture, that's not happening. Okay, so I was a little, hairs on the back of my neck started rising up with regard to that. To make matters even worse, the assistant to him, which was some young lady who may have been college age or high school, I'm not really sure, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it, she had the audacity also to refer to my mother by her first name. Yes. Now, I'm not even sure if the first person doing it was all that good, definitely the second person doing it, because my mother knew the young man, and they, anyway, it just, I had trouble focusing during this meeting, as a matter of fact. And so later on, we got the legal matters taken care of outside of that meeting, as a matter of fact, and you and I drove on down to St. Louis. Yeah, we flew back home to the DMV at that point in time. And so I had called my mother to ask her about that, and she goes, well, Mark, you have to understand, that's just the way things were years ago. And I know she's right. And for her sake, I'm glad I didn't make a mess in the meeting, and I bit my tongue. Because I see she would have dialed me down. She would have dialed me back. And so it would have been, uncouth, everything UNC, whatever. But I've been thinking about that, because you have to understand that the dynamic is this. When those with power and privilege have position, and they refer to those who should be respected in a less than respectful way. Maybe I should just use that term. In a less than respectful way. And this has been going on for centuries, okay? For centuries. So much to the point where we accept this. And I don't blame us for accepting it. I mean, we gotta live, we gotta survive, right? But because that takes place, what it does is it creates a mental situation in our heads. And I'm not saying this is what happened, but could you imagine if during the days of enslavement, this is probably what was going on, and that is that a fully grown man or woman is subjective to the person who's ruling with power and privilege, and their children also, and referring to their children in a higher authority role, and yet the children get to refer to them by their first name. So we're lacking in confidence, lacking in the things you mentioned, the self-esteem, self-worth, self-value. We don't have much value because it's basically been rooted out of us. That created a challenging, people are smiling at us from UCLA coming through. That created just a challenge to me. I hope you could see it in that story. I don't know if you want to add anything to that story or whatever.
I guess the whole thing, like you say, that you couldn't really look at people in the eyes years ago. It's like now people are always looking down. It's like they don't look at you because they have been taught from generation to generation all the things that have happened all these years to not be looking at people a certain way, and so you're used to just looking down, and that's almost like a negative thing, or like you're cowering, or you're weak or something. But it's because of what has happened to us for centuries, for years, and so we just don't know that we can rise above that we are worth something.
So I'm not trying to bring us down or anything. I'm just trying to create awareness. That's all. It's like I love this quote. I forget the guy's name. I meant to look it up first, but it's basically, I'm not selling bread. I'm selling yeast. I'm trying to stir things up a little bit. I'm saying to the diaspora, I'm saying, look, before we do jump on each other's case and jump on down each other's throat, why can't we communicate with each other? Why can't we come over into a country and have a store on the lower level and live on the top level and then keep the money in the community? Well, there's reasons for that.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. There's a reason behind everything. And when we have an awareness of it, maybe we can then begin to address it in a more astute fashion. And so there are things, now we're going to get our self-esteem, our self-value, our self-worth from identity.
Right.
Knowing who we are the diaspora, we need to understand what that entails and really apprehend from the Most High who we are. And also give ourselves time to come to a point where we can receive to be made whole and to be able to receive what it takes to bring our sense of self-worth up a couple of notches, and it's going to take time. This thing doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
I'm full of metaphors. So being from Illinois, I remember a story in the Chicago area, a true story, of a little boy who fell into Lake Michigan during the cold season. Cold season is any month with an R in it, basically. And so I'm saying, what do you think they did to revive, to resuscitate this little boy once they pulled him out of Lake Michigan, which is like freezing water? Do you think they gave him the 5 food groups with carrots and greens and rice and some protein, some chicken or meat or something like that? No. Even though that would be the right thing to give him? No. He had to operate in stages and phases.
Right.
They gave him intravenous stuff to get him going again, to help him slowly, his body adjust
to the right temperatures.
Exactly. And I think that's what needs to happen, is the body of the diaspora needs to adjust, and it's going to take a little time to get the nutrients in us. But I do say this, and that is, sometimes it is not sometimes, it's always worthwhile to read about yourself, to pick up the book.
Right.
And read about that you are more than a conqueror, that you are, and to say those things, not because you're trying to convince the Most High, but rather you need to deprogram what you've been programmed for over 400 plus years. I know I held up 5 fingers, I meant 4, but it's 4 plus. Hopefully we will get the 5 if you know where I'm going there. So those are the kinds of things that we think about. So it's important. So that's why sometimes the mechanics don't work. And I used to wonder. So I spent over 10 years at IBM, and here I was at the #1 blue chip corporation in the world at IBM, and I just noticed that there was a different way those with power and privilege carried themselves. There was a sort of, and I don't mean this in a bad way, an arrogance,
right,
a cockiness.
It's like when they came in the room, it's like they owned the room.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll never forget, one guy asked me to play some ball, and realized I'm probably the only African American male in many of the things I'm in, and these things are lasting 4 weeks, 6 weeks at a time. I'm in another city like Dallas or Atlanta, and he was saying, "Mark, come on, let's play some ball." And I'm dealing with a guy who's played in the NIT tournament, okay? And he's got this huge ring, and he's thinking, well, Mark probably can hang with me. I'm like, no, I can't really. But anyway, I digress. The point is that there is the confidence of owning the room, that when you give them basic mechanics of being able to, use business techniques that are correct and they work, the part that they don't discuss in the curriculum is the fact that we don't believe in ourselves, and you gotta have that. You must have that. I really wish people would understand that as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yes.
Yeah, basically. So that's why we're here on the campus of UCLA. We thought it was an appropriate place. Plus, it's cool and shady. But anyway, we can look at the nice Rolls Royces and things roll down Sunset Boulevard. But that's what we wanted to talk about, the diaspora and the education system. Don't be so quick to jump in there in the curriculum. Make sure you take time to edify yourself. There's a king in history. His name happens to be David, right? And he really encouraged himself.
In the Lord, yes.
Yes, in the Most High. And I think we want to do those things so that we are not unawares. So, any final thoughts that you have?
No, I think you've laid it out pretty clear.
Well, this has been fun talking with you. We're Mark and
Marlene.
And we're with Awaken with Mark. It's a pleasure to talk to the diaspora. We encourage you. These are kingdom principles for the diaspora. Again, there's no secular or sacred. We believe the Most High is over everything,
Right.
and it all belongs to Him.
Yes.
Having said that, all the best to you and peace. Toodles.
Bye-bye.